Who is you, man? I ain't seen you in like a decade. It's not what I expected. What did you expect?
Well, I'm excited about this. Like I said, this is my favorite film of the year. So let me tell you guys a little bit of what Moonlight is about. Moonlight is the tale of a young gay black boy, and the film is divided into 3 parts: when he was a kid, when he was a teenager, and when he was an adult. And the film just basically tracks his life throughout those 3 points in his life, from he was a young boy to the man he goes on to become. One of my favorite aspects of the film was the visuals. Barry Jenkins definitely took a lot of inspirations from Carway Wong and Spike Lee. By the way, if I mispronounce the name, my apologies, I'm Mexican, I have an accent already, so Carway Wong, correct me if I said it wrong. Anyway, like I was saying, he took a lot of cues from the style of Carway Wong and Spike Lee. The way he dealt with the colors was very reminiscent of the work of Spike Lee, like Crooklyn and Do the Right Thing. And the way the angles and the way he told the actors to communicate through eyes and through looks was very reminiscent of Carway Wong. For example, the film In the Mood for Love is basically about 2 people that can't have each other. And that is communicated through looks, and the way he sets up the camera for them to look at each other with that desire and knowing they can't have each other is powerful. And Barry Jenkins does that very, very well with this film. There is a scene in the movie where 2 characters that have not seen each other for a very long time meet at a diner, and one of them looks at the other one, and just with that look, you can feel all the pain and love that they have for each other. And it's just beautiful. And that's the beautiful thing about film, is that you can say something by showing it, not actually saying it. That makes your work timeless. So kudos to Barry Jenkins for that, because that is really what you want to do as a filmmaker. You want your film to speak for itself.
And you were telling me something interesting. You were telling me that this film was shot in 21 days.
This film was shot in 21 days. That's 3 weeks.
How crazy is that, though? For someone who is highly invested in film, who knows what they're doing behind the camera and in front of one, let me know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy is it that he actually accomplished that in 21 days?
Most films in 21 days is you get 1 minute of CGI done. In 21 days to make a film that's nominated for 8 Oscars, it's unbelievable. And the fact that the main actress who plays the mother, she did all her scenes in 3 days. And if you've seen the film, you know how much development the character went through. To hear that only happened in 3 days, it's unbelievable. It's a film miracle. And I read in the Hollywood Reporter that none of the actors were allowed to see each other's performances. So like I said, the film is divided into 3 stages of a young man's life. And if you watch the film, it all feels like they were in sync with each other. It was one young man's life. Yet none of them saw each other's performance. So they all had to work based off Barry Jenkins' vision. And that to me is just
kind of working with a blindfold on, so
exactly.
To speak. That's
it's
crazy.
all led by the man's vision and the very, very solid script. So kudos to Barry Jenkins. On the technical side, it's a miracle. I have no idea how this film got made, how good it is. It should have failed. It should have failed.
For 21 days.
21 days, none of them were allowed to see each other. It was filmed in Miami, so the weather is crazy. Like they film a lot of the scenes like at the beach. So, you know, it should have failed.
Winds,
it was
all
based,
that. We know about that life. The wind life.
The film was based off a play that never got released. And, you know, it was shot in 31
It's funny
days.
that you mentioned that, because there are a lot of themes in this. In the fact, I actually read the fact that he chose to keep the character gay. It was a play, like you were saying, it was adapted from a play. It's called In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue. So he kept the homosexuality aspect of that to also kind of touch on the bigger picture, which was masculinity, in my opinion. That was the theme and the message that I got from it. So as a man, how do you feel connected to this story?
There were points in the film that hit home, because at the end, I think the message of the film was that how we raised our boys makes them into the man they will be. So the way the young man was raised throughout the film eventually led to the man he became. there is a scene towards the end where he has an interaction with one of the people he hasn't seen before, like I said before. He hasn't seen him in a long time, and he tells the young man who goes by Black by the end of the film, he tells Black, this isn't what I was expecting, and Black replies, well, what did you expect? And he doesn't say anything, he just stays quiet, because that is exactly who he was gonna become. Because the way, all the horrible things he saw as a young man were never ever acknowledged. So to me, I've seen people become things they weren't supposed to become because at a young age, again, they saw things or they were exposed to things that were never acknowledged and they were never skewed the right way. So it hit home for me, and it's a very, very important thing that, you know, how we raise our boys matter, because they will be the men one day that lead. And especially with minorities, you know, there's already many factors that, you know, from the way you were kids, the way you act in school can lead you in jail. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? The school to prison. The pipeline. So I think it definitely hit home for me.
And so with that being said, it's no longer 1960. Do you feel like in 2017, our view and our opinion of what it means to be a man has changed due to the release of this film? Or do you believe that it was influenced much earlier than that?
The release of this film, I think, is an overall statement of how we're starting to look at masculinity. We're living in a society where, you know, mothers are being the head of the household, you know. The whole idea of like it's a man's world, shout out to James Brown, that's not that's not the case anymore. You know, we have people you know, redefining what it means to be what gender you are too. So this film, I think, is a response to that, because everything is changing. And the fact that this story got told, I feel is a step in the right direction. This film not only opened the door, it kicked down the door into what we can start to say, how we can start to view each other, and even as the conversation started about what it means to be a man anymore. Because like I said, the way we're raising our men leads them to a very bad place. Yeah, so this film definitely, I have a lot of respect for Barry Jenkins and anyone involved, because he made a very strong role.
At some point, you gotta decide for yourself who you're gonna be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you.
Like Ethan said back at the Digital Gym, it is with the tools that he's given at his center, it's time for us to start telling our stories. So a story like this, I feel, definitely opens the door to more stories being told, for us to not only make, let's say it's a black film, it has to be about the hood, or a Latino film, it has to be about immigrants. We're starting to tell human stories. That this is, you know, it is a story about a black boy, but at the end of it all, it is a story about...
It's universal.
Universal, about how masculinity is really toxic, and the way we're being raised in this man's world will lead to that. And in that aspect, it's inspiring, because we starting to tell stories that have never really been told before. Exactly. And it's also just, from my perspective of a male and all, it's inspiring to see others starting to tackle this subject that I've been battling with my whole life in such a powerful, beautiful way. And I'm like, oh snap, other people felt this too. And this is how they felt, how they dealt with it. That's very inspiring. I'm not gonna cry.
Awesome, Benji.
Remember the last time I saw you?
And that was that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed today's segment of the Spotlight. Talking about films is one of my favorite things to do, so I can really do this all day. And I don't know about you or anyone else at home, but Moonlight is one of my favorite films of all time, so I highly recommend you go checking it out. I'm talking top 10 status. I really just absolutely love that film. Nothing but greatness, praise all the way. Please check it out.
And be sure to check out the Digital Gym as well. And as always, stay righteous, San Diego.